All right. Hey, thanks everybody for joining us. I am Gary DeHart. I'm the publisher of Insightful Accountant and a recent launch called Tax Practice News. And we have I've got a guest here today, Benton, who is the CEO of Harmon Brothers. And Harmon Brothers is an ad agency. He'll give you a little more better detail, better description than I can, but who kind of came to us from their PR firm, because they're basically doing their own stimulus, if you will. So with that, I'm going to get Benton to just give us a little bit of description of what that stimulus is, then just tell us a little bit about the company and some of the great things they're doing.
Sure. Thanks, Gary. Yeah, so, we're the ad agency behind some really famous ad campaigns out there. Campaigns like Squatty Potty, Poo-Pourri, Purple Mattresses, Chatbooks, Lume deodorant, and several others. A lot of people know us as, the viral video guys. Our ad campaigns have been viewed over 1.5 billion times and, driven over $400 million in trackable sales for our clients. And, with the current situation being what it is, with a lot of entrepreneurs and businesses out there kind of finding themselves in a crappy situation right now, we decided that we wanted to, do our part to help and do our part to give back. And so we built what we're calling the 100K Poop to Gold giveaway. And what that is, we're going to give away a $100,000 advertising campaign. These are the campaigns that we're famous for. And we're going to give one away to an entrepreneur or a business who is helping real people with real problems. It doesn't matter if it's, through a product or through a service or through a technology or whatever it is. As long as they're solving real problems for real people, we want to help them tell their story. And we want to help them tell their story in a way that, gets it out to the masses and lets the world know what they're doing. Because, we feel like those are the people who are going to help us through these hard times. And so we want to help them.
Absolutely. Well, that's super. And then also, I think I saw on the site, it's not just the 100K, right? Aren't there a couple of other, I don't want to call them, door number two, but there's more than just the one prize, if you will.
Yeah. So we're going to choose 10 semifinalists, and all 10 of those semifinalists are going to get our full suite of training for free on how to do advertising campaigns like we do them. And then from that group of 10, we're going to narrow it down to 5 finalists. And the 5 finalists are going to get one-on-one direct coaching from my team to help them actually make some ads to get out in the marketplace and start telling their story. And then it's going to be from that group of 5 finalists that we'll narrow it down to the one grand prize winner. And that grand prize winner will get the $100,000 campaign, written, directed, filmed, edited, the whole bit by my team.
That's fantastic. That's great. Way to give back. That we'll strive to be able to do that in a few years. That would be fantastic if we could do something along those lines. Maybe not quite that scale, but just some kind of giveaway that's really giving back. I mean, that'll have huge impacts. And like we were talking about, prior to going live here, just the success that your campaigns have had for your customer base. I mean, it proves advertising works, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I was thinking, it was just earlier today, I was telling a buddy this story where when my partners and I were just starting out with this, we were all flat broke. We were bootstrapping it like so many other entrepreneurs have to go through. And I remember we needed to go to San Francisco for a conference out there because we needed to go meet some potential clients. And so we rented a van and drove out to San Francisco, and we couldn't afford a stupid hotel room to stay the night. And so we did an all-night drive, that night. And I remember I got the 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. driving shift.
Oh God.
And I don't usually use much caffeine, but of course I wanted to be safe. So I decided to caffeinate myself to stay awake. And I took a 5-hour energy shot, which my body had never experienced that level of caffeine before. And oh my goodness, it it played games with me. I've never been that wound up before in my life. It kind of was an out of body experience. So I always think back to those, you know, early days when we were going through hard times. And I know so many other entrepreneurs are finding themselves in those type of situations. And we just want to give back and help. We really believe it's entrepreneurs who solve the world's problems. And so we want to do our part to help them tell those stories to the world.
Well, that's great. Well, we'll do our part to get your message out to our audience, which, as we talked about before, is, you know, our audience is small business advisors. So, you know, we can touch through our newsletter, through our website, you know, potentially hundreds of thousands of small businesses. So we can get the message out. Now, if I go to the website right now for the giveaway, I think it says that the giveaway closes out tomorrow night at midnight. Is that correct? Which would be tomorrow night being the 22nd at midnight.
Yeah, I think that was the plan, but we're going to extend it through Memorial Day weekend. So we'll keep it open until, don't quote me on this, but I want to say Monday night at midnight.
Okay.
So that'll give more people a chance to take a look and apply for the giveaway. And for those people who want to apply, you just go to harmonbrothers.com/gold. That's Harmon, HARMON, brothers.com/gold.
All right, great. Well, good. So we got that on the front end. That's this whole conversation really is centered around that. But I think our audience doesn't get a lot of exposure to ad agencies, whether they be traditional ad agencies or you know, newer model ad agencies. So if you could give us just a couple of minutes background on how you became Harmon Brothers. I saw you had some experience with VidAngel. Are you still engaged with VidAngel?
Yeah. I'm one of the VidAngel co-founders. My partners Neil and Jeff Harmon still run VidAngel full time, and then Daniel Harmon and myself we run the ad agency Harmon Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I think what's changed so much in the advertising world is that years ago, and I say years ago, but it's not that many years ago, advertising was kind of this game where everyone just assumed they had a captive audience. You know, you're watching your football game or whatever, or commercial break comes on, you don't have anything else to do, you're kind of stuck. And so because advertisers were always assuming that they had this captive audience, they kind of put a lot of crap in front of us because they could. And in my opinion, they didn't really respect our time and our opinions and what we actually wanted to watch. And I believe one of the best changes that has happened and continues to happen in the world of advertising is that ads have largely become skippable. You know, if you're jumping on a YouTube video and an ad plays in front of it, you know, you see those first 5 seconds, then you hit the skip button if they haven't grabbed your attention yet, and you move on with what you're doing. Or you're scrolling through your Facebook feed and an ad pops up, you just keep scrolling if it's not interesting to you. And a lot of advertisers lament that skippability, but in my opinion, it's the best thing that's happened to the advertising world, because now it forces us to actually make ads and make content that people want to watch, that people want to interact with, that catch people's attention, that entertain them, that give them something to smile about, give them something to share with their friends. And of course, if you look at, you know, our portfolio of campaigns, you'll see that's always the pattern. That yes, we're going to do something crazy to grab your attention, you know, like a pooping unicorn for Squatty Potty or whatever it is. Yes, we're going to grab your attention, but we're going to respect your time and know that we can only hold your attention if we entertain you and we give you something of value. And so that's just key to advertising success in today's market. And it's the core of everything we do, is making those messages something that you actually want to watch.
And then you said shareable. And when you guys are in your war room around campaigns, shareable now has to be a critical part of that as well. I mean, it's got to be super entertaining or super informative, but also you really get your bang out of it by it being shared, right?
Well, that's a yes and a no answer.
Okay.
Yes, having it be shareable is just fantastic. In fact, so many people know us as the viral video guys. We get called that all the time. And we have had a handful of our campaigns go, quote unquote, viral. And that's really cool when it happens. But the reality is we have to build the campaigns so that they're successful regardless of whether or not they go viral. Because virality is totally random. There's no recipe that says if you do A and B and C that you're going to get, virality.
Right.
It sometimes happens, it sometimes doesn't. No one can predict when it does. And when it happens, fantastic. But the formula to make it work, regardless of whether it goes viral, is that it has to be able to drive an ROI for the business. Because what that means is if I can spend, let's say, if I can spend $100 to buy ads and drive eyeballs to my message, and that generates $200 of revenue for me, then of course I can do that all day long and lean into that. And that's how you end up with, a campaign like Purple that has, boy, I don't even know, our Goldilocks campaign that we did for Purple, I think collectively across all the platforms has over 500 million views.
Wow.
And for context, there's, 330 million people in America.
Right.
So that gives you kind of an idea of just how huge that was. And it wasn't from virality. It was because they had an effective message that they could spend $100 to generate $200.
Right. Okay. And so the company itself, when did you guys launch?
2013. Our first campaign was Poo-Pourri.
Okay.
And that's where that's where the ball kind of got rolling. And then Poo-Pourri happened, and the Squatty Potty guys saw it and said that should have been us. And so they came to us, and then the ball kept rolling, and we ended up doing many campaigns.
Yeah, that's awesome. And is everything, you're in Utah, is everything produced in Utah?
Yeah, for the most part. I think, we've had a couple of small productions that have gone outside of Utah, but for the most part, we do most of it here. We've really developed a very robust film community here.
Okay.
And so we have a lot of great talent that we can tap from here. About the only thing we find ourselves going outside of Utah for in terms of talent are actors. When it comes to all the technical roles, lighting, editing, motion graphics, all that type of stuff, we can access that talent from here in Utah. Actors, we often have to go to LA to get top talent.
Right. Okay. Well, that's super. So tell us, I'm going to use my cheat sheet here just so I don't go too long and don't miss any of the good data that we wanted to try to get out of this. What right now, what are you seeing as the keys to small business growth, during COVID, and as you guys look out post-COVID, what would you say companies, businesses need to be focusing on now and looking out, down the road?
Yeah, so it's been an interesting time because it's really been feast or famine is what we've observed. There, are many businesses out there, like I mentioned in the beginning, that are finding themselves in a crappy situation right now. And there are also lots of other businesses who are setting all-time records right now. Everyone finds themselves homebound, and all of a sudden they're doing lots of shopping online. And so that's driving a lot of success for those businesses. But what I've seen is that there are so many companies out there who used to kind of think about their online strategy on kind of like this, 3 to 5 year timeline. I know it's something that I've got to work on. I know it's something that I've got to trend towards, but I'll get there eventually. And for now, I'm going to kind of keep doing what has always worked. And now all of a sudden, the pandemic has created a situation where that narrative gets flipped on its head. And all of a sudden they have to think, whoa, I can't wait 3 to 5 years. I need to accelerate that, to 3 to 5 weeks or whatever it is. I've got to get online now, and I've got to start driving my business results online because I need to survive. And that's where we feel like we are uniquely positioned to help And so, that's what this giveaway is all about, is helping to show companies how to do this. And we're going to be very public with the whole entire process, so anyone can follow along and watch and learn the process as we go through it, so that we can take these companies and show them, yeah, you can be successful even during a hard time like we find ourselves in today.
Right. So you say they're going to be able to watch it. Is that something you're going to be posting to your website, or how is that going to be promoted?
Yeah. So, we're active on many of the social platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. And so we'll be posting content all along the way about what we're doing with these companies. And then, of course, anyone who wants a deeper dive, who wants the actual training and to be a part of it, that's all available at harmonbrothersuniversity.com. And
Okay.
that's where we teach how to market like we market. And of course, that's what we're providing to all the semifinalists for free.
Okay. And that's like, if I wanted to go there now for my business, that's a paid service that I go, and it's like on demand, or what is that?
Yeah, exactly. It's a series of online courses that we've built to be able to train people on the various elements of what we do. So, so we have a course on how to write like we write. And then once you have a script, then you're going to take that, and we have a course on how to film and edit, so that you can, instead of just going for a beautiful video, you actually go for one that converts, one that performs for your business. And then maybe you want to integrate comedy. So we have a course on how to make your ads funny, because that adds to the shareability and to the effectiveness. And then we have a course about how to launch the campaign, how to do the testing prior to launch, how to buy the ads when you launch, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So we try to provide all the elements that an entrepreneur needs to be able to market themselves and be successful in today's environment.
All right, that's super. So you mentioned social media, so kind of 3 main platforms, right? What are you finding is has the most impact for which channel? Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. For if you're working, I'm not even sure if you guys work with business to business clients, but is there one versus the other that is more impactful?
Yeah. So it depends on, what the application is, what the need is. So I spend most of my time and effort on LinkedIn. Obviously, I'm business to business. I'm helping other businesses succeed. And so LinkedIn is the natural platform where, I'm going to be able to reach those businesses. But, one of my clients, Lume Deodorant, for example, their LinkedIn strategy for them is not nearly as important as their Facebook and Instagram strategy, because they have this natural deodorant. It's for all people, but it kind of tends, women tend to really love it. And so, they can really reach their core audience on Instagram, and Pinterest is another great one for them.
Any tips on that side as part of that process, as far as evaluating those types of media, like in the course that you guys have?
I know your audience is largely accountants, and so when I think about a strategy that I would use if I were an accountant, your business is very much a relationship business, where it's not the type of service where, like, I'm not going to scroll through my Facebook ad or my Facebook feed and all of a sudden I see an ad for an accountant. I'm going to be like, boom, there's my accountant. It doesn't.
Found him finally.
Instead, it's very much a relationship-based business where you're developing these relationships over time. And so my strategy, if I were an accountant, would be to identify the niche of entrepreneurs or people or businesses that I want to serve. And then I would create a podcast and or a YouTube channel that is designed to provide value for that audience. And then I would start inviting key members of that audience to be guests on my podcast or on my YouTube channel. So for example, I actually apply this strategy here at Harmon Brothers. So I'm the co-host of our podcast called Poop to Gold. And I invite guests to come onto my podcast and I can interview them. And they're excited to come on because I'm giving them a platform to share their story.
Right.
And then I get a captive 30 to 40 minutes with these people where I get to interview them, ask them questions, find out what they're struggling with, build a relationship. And because that relationship is built, then, later when they need something, I'm now top of mind for them.
Exactly.
And so, for an accountant, maybe my focus is going to be on, small, or maybe my focus is going to be on local restaurants, within 100-mile geography or something. I would think about, how do I create a podcast or a YouTube channel that provides value for those people? And then I would start inviting those actual people to come on as guests, so that you give them a platform so that their story gets heard, you provide them value, and then you get a chance to build that relationship. And those relationships are what will turn into the actual,
right.
Accounting clients and accounting business.
Absolutely. Do you know, are you familiar with Stephen Westner with his Onward Nation?
No, that doesn't ring a bell for me.
Yeah, he has a podcast he's been running for, I don't even know, many, many years. And he does exactly that. I talked to him several years ago, and that was kind of his whole strategy around his podcast. And it works. I mean, he's on his, I think it's 955th episode or something like that.
Oh, wow. He's been at it for a long time.
Yeah, he's been out there a long time. So, so real quickly, and then we'll go back to the challenge, to the 100K poop. Actually, we just kind of talked about it. Let's talk specifically on accountants, and then maybe one of the bigger markets out there. You mentioned food and retail, or you mentioned food and restaurants. So if most of our audience, and I would even imagine most of our audience's customers, aren't dealing with ad agencies.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them, don't even know where to begin to buy media, or how to buy media, or what to look for when they're buying media. Is there, you have like a top 5 tips or resources where you could point people to? We write about it some, and we actually have just gone into partnership with an ad agency that actually serves mostly the developer side of our community, so the supplier side. But so they are going to be providing content for us on marketing and developing sales funnels and things like that. But again, that's going to be more directed at the developer side than for the accountant.
Uh-huh.
Do you know of good resources where they could go and learn general marketing? Because it's hard. Your traditional accountant is not, they're phenomenal at what they do.
Yep.
But they're not known as the most aggressive people, and they're not going to be the ones who are, again, very generalizations, and nobody get offended by what I'm saying. But they aren't typically going to be the ones that are the life of the party, at a party.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they are reliable, and they will be there for you through thick and thin. But marketing and sales is not what they do for a living.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, when I'm putting on my, what would I do if I were trying to survive and even thrive as an accountant? I actually really think that I would think so much less about how do I market my accountancy, and I would think so much more about how do I create a platform for the people who I want to serve. And then once I create that platform for the people who I want to serve, then the marketing all becomes about how do I market that platform. And so instead of thinking about, hey, I have this accountancy that I want to market, instead I'm now thinking about, I have this podcast that I want to market. Mm-hmm. Or I have this YouTube channel that I want to market. And that starts to bring you into this world where there are there are a lot of experts on how do you grow a podcast, and it's not hard to find great training on how to grow a podcast and find people who can guide you and coach you through that, or great training on how to build a YouTube channel. And if I focus my marketing efforts on building that platform is what is going to give me all of the leverage that I need to build the relationships that are going to drive my career forward. And so I then leverage the platform. You have to start out with the small fish. You're inviting small guests to come on, but you keep working your way up the food chain, so to speak, by leveraging one guest into the next guest. And as your platform grows, so does your leverage. And it gives you this opportunity to create real meaningful relationships with people. And creating those relationships and providing value are what is going to allow you to really expand your accountancy through those relationships that you've built. And I don't want to do generalizations either, but I think accountants would tend to be more on the introverted side of the scale, less on the extroverted side, and that oftentimes means that they don't like the small talk and the kind of the surface level shallow conversations. They want to get to deep, meaningful conversations where they're actually getting to know people on a very personal and meaningful level. And having a platform like a podcast or a YouTube channel that's the tool that allows you to get deep with people and really create those relationships, so that then when somebody is at a point in their life where they're like, oh, I need a new accountant, I need to make a change in this or whatever, you've already built the relationship. Right. They know you, they trust you, and they want to work with you.
Right. All right. So go search Podcasting 101 and probably get a billion responses back. But so podcast, YouTube channel, invite your guest onto the podcast or onto your YouTube, make it, I don't know if we can make it Harmon Brothers funny, but I think we can certainly get some humor in there. But I think what the accountants can do best is provide incredibly good information, because and again, generalizations, nobody get upset, but as a rule, they are incredibly smart people, and they're very detail oriented, and a lot of what they do rides on regulations, and they can't be wrong. And so they have a phenomenal amount of information to share. And so it's a matter of, so based on kind of wrapping up what you said, it's, getting the right platform, getting in front of the right people, and sharing that information in a way that the masses can consume it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, all right, well, let's wrap it up. Again, this is, I'm Gary DeHart. I've had Benton Crane from Harmon Brothers. Harmon Brothers is, let's give another shout out on the 100K Poop to Gold giveaway promotion, and let our people know how they can get there, and then how they can contact you guys if they have any other further questions.
Absolutely. Just go to harmonbrothers.com/gold. It's harmonbrothers.com/gold. That has all the instructions on how to apply for the competition. And then, like Gary mentioned, if you want to dive in and get some deeper education, you can go to harmonbrothersuniversity.com, and all of the courses and everything are available to you there. So I'd love to help wherever we can.
Well, that's great. Well, speaking for the accounting community, we appreciate what you're doing, and hopefully some of our viewers and some of our readers will pass this on to their customer base. And again, that's really what I'm trying to encourage people to do now that we know this is out there. Hey, this can materially change, the life of one of our subscribers, customers, or one of our subscribers. So dig in, get involved. And the one example that I looked at on your website, it wasn't super involved. The guy just said, hey, I've got a self-cleaning toothbrush, and we need help letting the whole world know how great this thing is. And great product, right? Who doesn't want a nice clean toothbrush?
Absolutely. Yeah, especially right now while everyone's so focused on hygiene, right?
Right. Absolutely. So, well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Glad you guys reached out and that we were able to get this on the calendar.
My pleasure. Thanks for having
Thank
me
you.
on, Gary.
You bet. Bye-bye.